Hello, I'm Dr. Daniel Walker. For over 2 decades, I've had the privilege of working with thousands of incredible individuals, navigating the rich and complex journey of life beyond 60. And in all those years, a common, quiet fear often surfaces in my conversations with patients. It's not about wrinkles or gray hair. It's the fear of that first moment of hesitation at the top of a staircase, the subtle wobble when getting up from a favorite armchair, or the sudden realization that a leisurely walk around the block now feels like a marathon. It's the fear of losing one's foundation, their strength, their independence. What if I told you that the most powerful tool to combat this fear isn't a new prescription, a complicated exercise machine, or an expensive supplement, but something waiting for you in the produce aisle of your local grocery store for just a few dollars? We are constantly bombarded with messages about aging. We're told to drink more milk for calcium, eat more chicken for protein, and maybe pop a multivitamin for good measure. These are not bad pieces of advice, but they are woefully incomplete. They represent an outdated, one-dimensional approach to a multifaceted issue. The pervasive myth is that weakening legs and a loss of stability are simply inevitable tolls that time exacts upon our bodies. We're led to believe it's a non-negotiable part of the aging contract. I am here today to tell you, with every fiber of my professional conviction, that this is a fallacy. While we cannot turn back the clock, we can absolutely change how the clock ticks. The secret to maintaining robust leg strength, sturdy balance, and the confidence that comes with it lies in a synergistic approach to nutrition that our bodies are crying out for. It's about providing the right building blocks in the right combination. Today, I want to pull back the curtain on a trio of unassuming leafy greens, 3 nutritional powerhouses that, when incorporated into your diet, can fundamentally change the way your legs support you for years to come. Forget what you think you know, and let's embark on a journey to rebuild your foundation from the ground up. The first cornerstone of our leg strengthening protocol is a vegetable many of us have a complicated history with: kale. Now, before you dismiss it as a trendy garnish or a bitter health food, I want you to reconsider it as the unsung hero of your skeleton. For years, the prevailing wisdom has been simple. For strong bones, you need calcium. We've been encouraged to consume dairy products like milk and yogurt, and for those who can't, calcium supplements have become a multi-billion-dollar industry. The problem with this approach is that it's like building a brick house and just having the bricks delivered to the construction site. The bricks, calcium, are essential, but without the masons to put them in place, they're just a pile of unused potential. Worse, they can even end up in the wrong places, causing problems down the line. This is where the old advice falls short. It focuses solely on the raw material, completely ignoring the complex biological processes required to use it effectively. The importance of kale lies in its extraordinary concentration of a nutrient that acts as the master mason for your bones: vitamin K1. Your body uses vitamin K to produce a protein called osteocalcin. Think of osteocalcin as the pot-smart glue of your skeletal system. When activated by vitamin K, it binds calcium ions and transports them directly into your bone matrix, locking them into place where they are needed most. Without sufficient vitamin K, a significant portion of the calcium you consume can't be properly utilized by your bones. It's left to float aimlessly in your bloodstream, where it can potentially be deposited in your arteries, leading to calcification and cardiovascular issues. Therefore, a diet rich in calcium but poor in vitamin K is an incomplete and potentially hazardous strategy. Kale provides both the bricks and the mason. A single cup of cooked kale contains a staggering amount of vitamin K, far exceeding the daily requirement, along with a respectable amount of plant-based calcium. This powerful combination ensures that you're not just consuming calcium, but are actively directing it to fortify the very bones that form the structural core of your legs. Strong, dense bones are the unshakable foundation upon which strong, powerful muscles are built. You cannot have one without the other. So, how do we make this practical? You don't need to force down plates of bland, steamed greens. The key is to make it easy and delicious. Here is my go-to recommendation for my patients, what I call Dr. Walker's 5-minute power greens. Take a large bunch of kale, rinse it, and tear the leaves off the tough central stem. Heat a tablespoon of good quality olive oil in a skillet over medium heat. Add a clove of thinly sliced garlic and let it sizzle for about 30 seconds until fragrant. Now, add the kale to the pan. It will seem like a huge amount, but it cooks down significantly. Add a splash of water or chicken broth, about 2 tablespoons, cover the pan, and let it steam for 3 to 4 minutes until the leaves are wilted and bright green. Uncover, squeeze a wedge of fresh lemon juice over the top, and season with a pinch of salt and a crack of black pepper. That's it. This simple side dish can be served alongside your morning eggs, a piece of grilled chicken at lunch, or salmon at dinner. It's a small change that makes a monumental difference. I remember a patient of mine, Margaret, a lovely 78-year-old grandmother from Scottsdale, Arizona. She came to me filled with anxiety. After a minor stumble in her garden, she had become terrified of falling. She was limiting her activities, refusing to walk on uneven ground, and her world was shrinking. Her diet was decent, including a daily glass of milk and a calcium pill, as her previous doctor had recommended. But her bone density was still borderline. We didn't change her calcium intake at all. We simply introduced sautéed kale or a kale salad into her diet 4 times a week. 6 months later, not only had her bone density markers improved, but something more profound had changed. She told me, with tears in her eyes, that she had spent an entire afternoon gardening, kneeling and standing back up without a second thought. She felt solid. She felt stable. That, my friends, is the power of giving your body not just the ingredients, but the instructions to build a stronger you. As we move through this information together, I want to make sure it's resonating and providing real value. Think of this as a virtual classroom. If this explanation of the relationship between vitamin K and calcium was helpful and gave you a new perspective, I invite you to leave the number 1 in the comment section below. If you felt it wasn't particularly useful or was something you already knew, please leave a 0. This feedback is invaluable and helps me tailor my advice to be as effective as possible for this wonderful community. Our second green is perhaps the most famous of them all, a staple in kitchens from coast to coast: spinach. When we think about leg weakness, we often focus on the muscles themselves, on their size and mass. But what if the problem isn't just the muscle, but its fuel supply and operational efficiency? As we age, many of us accept a certain level of fatigue as the new normal. We find ourselves getting winded walking up a flight of stairs or feeling our leg muscles burn halfway through a shopping trip to a large store like a Walmart or Target. The old way of thinking is to simply rest more or push through the discomfort, attributing it solely to getting older. We might try to boost our energy with a cup of coffee, but this is like putting a bigger gas pedal in a car that has a clogged fuel line. It doesn't address the root cause of the inefficiency. We're not getting the necessary oxygen and nutrients to our hardworking leg muscles when they need them. This is where the unique properties of spinach become so incredibly important. Spinach is one of the richest dietary sources of nitrates. When you consume nitrates from spinach, your body converts them into a remarkable molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a potent vasodilator, which is a scientific way of saying it relaxes and widens your blood vessels. Imagine the blood vessels in your legs as a network of highways. Nitric oxide essentially adds a new lane to every highway, allowing for a greater volume of traffic to flow more freely and quickly. This traffic is your blood, carrying life-giving oxygen and essential nutrients. When you're walking, climbing stairs, or carrying groceries, your leg muscles are demanding more fuel. By increasing blood flow, the nitrates from spinach ensure this demand is met promptly and efficiently. Your muscles get more oxygen, allowing them to work harder for longer before fatigue and that familiar burning sensation set in. Furthermore, spinach is also an excellent source of magnesium, a mineral that is critical for muscle function, playing a role in over 300 biochemical reactions in the body, including muscle contraction and relaxation, and energy production. The solution is to make spinach a regular, effortless part of your daily routine. And the easiest, most effective way I've found for my patients is through a simple morning smoothie. Don't worry, it won't taste like a salad. When blended with fruit, the taste of spinach virtually disappears. Here's a recipe for my strong legs smoothie. In a blender, combine 1 large handful of fresh spinach. The pre-washed bags are incredibly convenient. Half a frozen banana for potassium and creaminess. Half a cup of plain Greek yogurt for protein. Half a cup of milk or almond milk. And a tablespoon of almond butter for healthy fats and more magnesium. Blend until it's completely smooth. It's a delicious, nutrient-dense breakfast or snack that takes less than 2 minutes to prepare and fuels your muscles for hours. It's a simple act of profound self-care. Let me tell you about Robert, a 69-year-old retired mail carrier from Austin, Texas, who I met a few years ago. Robert had been an avid walker his entire life, but he found his daily 3-mile walks around Lady Bird Lake becoming a chore. He'd have to stop multiple times, his calves would feel heavy and tight, and he'd return home exhausted. He was frustrated, feeling like a core part of his identity was slipping away. We analyzed his diet, and while he was eating well, he wasn't getting these specific muscle-supporting nutrients. I had him start his day with the spinach smoothie. The change wasn't overnight, but after about 3 weeks, he called me, audibly excited. He had completed his entire 3-mile loop without stopping for the first time in over a year. He said his legs felt lighter and more energetic. He wasn't a different man, but he had given his body the specific tool it needed to work more efficiently, allowing him to reclaim a joy he thought he had lost for good. Once again, I'd love to check in with you all. Was this insight into how nitrates and blood flow directly impact muscle endurance a new concept for you? If you found this information helpful and it gave you a new way to think about muscle fatigue, please take a moment and type the number 1 in the comments. If this wasn't as helpful, a 0 would be greatly appreciated. Your engagement helps us all learn and grow together. Finally, let's talk about our third leafy green, a beautiful and often overlooked powerhouse, Swiss chard. One of the most common complaints I hear from my older patients relates to sudden, painful leg cramps, often striking in the middle of the night and disrupting precious sleep. Another is a feeling of general muscle weakness or shakiness. The conventional wisdom for decades has been singular. You're low on potassium. Eat a banana. While bananas are a fine source of potassium, this advice represents a classic case of seeing only one piece of a much larger puzzle. It's another example of the old single-nutrient approach failing to address the complex interplay of minerals required for proper muscle function. Focusing only on potassium to solve muscle cramps is like trying to play a symphony with only the violins. You're missing the crucial harmony of the other instruments. The magic of Swiss chard lies in its perfect symphony of minerals, particularly its rich combination of both potassium and magnesium. These two minerals work in a delicate, beautiful partnership to control every single muscle movement in your body. Potassium is an electrolyte that is vital for nerve transmission. It helps carry the electrical signal from your brain to your muscles, telling them to contract. Think of potassium as the go signal. Magnesium, on the other hand, plays the equally important opposite role. It acts as a natural calcium channel blocker, helping the muscle cells to relax after contracting. It is the stop signal. When these minerals are out of balance, Specifically, when you have insufficient magnesium to counteract the contracting signals, your muscles can get stuck in the on position. This leads to cramps, spasms, and that feeling of tightness. By providing a robust dose of both of these minerals in one package, Swiss Chard ensures your muscles receive a clear, balanced command: contract, then relax. This promotes smooth, controlled movement and helps prevent those agonizing, involuntary cramps, allowing for restful nights and more confident, steady movement during the day. Integrating Swiss Chard into your diet is wonderfully simple, as it's a very versatile green. One of my favorite recommendations, especially as the weather cools, is to add it to soups and stews. Here's an incredibly easy idea: hearty lentil and chard soup. Take your favorite canned lentil or vegetable soup, a good low-sodium brand. Heat it in a pot on the stove. While it's warming, take 3-4 large leaves of Swiss chard, wash them, and chop both the colorful stems and the green leaves. Add the chopped chard directly to the soup and let it simmer for about 5-7 minutes until the stems are tender and the leaves are wilted. That's all. You've just dramatically boosted the mineral content and nutritional value of a simple meal with minimal effort. The chard adds a lovely, slightly sweet and earthy flavor, and a beautiful texture. I think of Eleanor, an 82-year-old former librarian from Chicago who was a patient of mine. She was in good health overall, but was plagued by nightly leg cramps so severe they would jolt her awake multiple times a night. She was exhausted and dreaded going to bed. She had tried everything: eating bananas, drinking tonic water, stretching, with little success. We focused on increasing her dietary magnesium alongside her potassium, with Swiss chard as our primary tool. She started adding it to soups and also enjoyed it sautéed with garlic, much like the kale recipe. Within a month, her nighttime cramps had reduced from happening almost every night to just once or twice a month. 2 months in, they were gone completely. She told me the greatest gift wasn't just the absence of pain, but the return of uninterrupted, restorative sleep. She was waking up feeling refreshed and ready for the day, a feeling she hadn't had in years. She had solved the symphony by adding the missing instruments. This brings us to our final check-in. Did this explanation of the partnership between potassium and magnesium for preventing muscle cramps provide you with a useful, actionable insight? If so, I would be so grateful if you would share a 1 in the comments below. And, as always, if it didn't quite hit the mark for you, a 0 lets me know how I can improve. Thank you so much for your participation. As we draw our conversation to a close, I want to crystallize the most important takeaways from our time together. It's easy to get lost in the details, but the principles of building and maintaining strength are timeless and clear. First, remember that true leg strength begins not in the muscle, but in the bone. You must first fortify your foundation, and the synergy of calcium and vitamin K, abundantly found in kale, is your master tool for the job. Second, never forget that vitamin K is the crucial director of traffic for the calcium you consume, ensuring it strengthens your skeleton rather than harming your arteries. Third, muscle performance isn't just about raw power, but about efficiency. The nitrates in spinach act to widen your vascular highways, delivering more oxygen and fuel to your legs, boosting your endurance and fighting fatigue. Fourth, smooth, pain-free muscle function is a delicate symphony of minerals. The powerful duo of potassium and magnesium in Swiss chard works in harmony to prevent cramps and ensure your muscles contract and relax as they should. And finally, the most crucial point of all, your health is not a passive state, but an active creation. The power to build a stronger, more stable, and more independent future for yourself is not in a pill or a potion, but on your plate. I want you to leave here today not with a sense of restriction, but with a feeling of profound empowerment. The journey of aging does not have to be a story of decline. It can be a story of wisdom, resilience, and vitality. The choices you make in your kitchen each day are among the most powerful health interventions you can possibly make. Don't try to change everything at once. That path leads to frustration and failure. Instead, embrace the power of small, consistent actions. Your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is simple. This week, when you go to the grocery store, choose just one of these greens. Just one. Buy it, bring it home, and try one of the simple recipes we discussed. That is it. That is the first step on a new path. In life, we often look for the grand, dramatic solution to our problems, believing that significant change requires a monumental effort. But I've found that the most profound and lasting transformations often come from the smallest, most consistent adjustments. This brings me to a simple life lesson I hold dear. The smallest hinges swing the biggest doors. A single choice, to add a handful of spinach to a smoothie, to sauté some kale with dinner, to stir Swiss chard into a soup, seems like a tiny, insignificant hinge. But that small hinge, swung consistently day after day, opens the massive door to greater mobility, deeper confidence, and a higher quality of life for years to come. You hold the key to that door. I am deeply grateful for your time and attention today. If this article has provided you with value and a renewed sense of hope, I humbly ask you to share it with a friend, a family member, or a neighbor who might also benefit from this knowledge. Community and shared wisdom are our greatest assets. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these 3 greens are you most excited to try first? Your stories and your progress inspire us all. And finally, if you would like to receive more insights and practical advice on navigating the journey of healthy aging with strength and grace, please consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you, and be well.